I woke up, staring at a bright light. That was the last thing I remembered. Just light. I felt groggy, like I'd been drinking for hours and passed out mid-thought. Confused, disconnected, unsure. I could not move my body at first, but I did not feel restrained, and I did not feel panic. Actually, I didn't feel anything at all, except the grog. After a few minutes, my arm moved, then my leg, then the other. Slowly, carefully, like it was relearning gravity, I pushed myself upright. And when I finally saw where I was, I did not feel fear. I felt something stranger, foreign, unfamiliar. I looked around. The chamber was filled with light, bright in the centre, fading into darkness at the corners, but I could not see where the light was coming from. There were no light bulbs, no panels, and no source. The walls were made of something I'd never seen before. They weren't built or carved, but grown and alive. I slid off the surface beneath me and realised it was not a table. It was floating. A perfect circular form, like a bubble of water suspended in air, held up by nothing. No supports, no wires. It simply existed, hovering silently as if gravity did not apply to it. A noise came from behind me. I listened. Nothing. I stood there for a few seconds, trying to place where it came from, and then, without thinking, I decided it was time to move. So I did. A large chamber opened into another, and another. Each cavernous space curved into the next, like tunnels carved by intention rather than tools. Light everywhere, but still no source. No shadows cast from fixtures, no hum from machinery, just visibility. As I walked, calm, strangely calm, one feeling crept in, and that was something was watching me. I entered a chamber much larger than the rest. The walls were lined with pods, dozens, maybe even hundreds, possibly thousands. Embedded into the structure like cells in a hive, a neon green glow pulsed softly inside them, lighting the room in a dim organic haze. I cautiously stepped closer. I wiped away a layer of slick condensation from the nearest pod. Inside, something moved. At first, I could only see an outline. Thin limbs folded close to a narrow body, a shape not quite human and not quite insect. Then the glow shifted slightly, and I saw it, small and delicate. Its limbs were long but not fully formed, joints still soft, almost translucent. Its head tilted slightly as if drifting through dreams, and its large eyes remained sealed beneath a thin film, like something not yet ready for light. Its chest rose slowly, alive, growing, developing, not sleeping, becoming. I didn't understand what I was looking at. I looked into the next pod, and the next, and the next. I moved on. The next chamber was smaller, different. And this time, where shock should have been, there was curiosity. Floating along both sides of the room were the same hovering platforms I'd woken up on. And on each one was a person. Men, women, different ages, different faces, just laying there. Their eyes were closed. They were breathing and alive. I reached out towards the nearest one. It was a woman. Her chest rose gently with each breath. Just as my fingers neared her hand, I felt it. There was something behind me, And then, without sound, without voice, without air moving, words formed inside my mind. You are not supposed to be awake. I slowly turned, and without fear, I saw it. Tall, impossibly tall. Its body was thin, but not fragile. It was precise, like it had been engineered rather than born. Its limbs hung long and jointed, bending at angles that made my brain hesitate. Its skin was not green. It was pale, bone-like, almost matte. It was ancient, and its eyes, huge, dark, reflective. They weren't predator's eyes. They were eyes of an observer. They didn't look at me. They looked through me. I picked up the courage and I asked what it was and what it wanted. Gradually, the room vanished and I saw. First, it was us. Humans inventing tools. Humans destroying empires. Humans loving. Humans killing. Cities rising and civilizations collapsing. Children were laughing and soldiers were screaming. There was so much, just so much going on. Fire, steel, code, silence. Everything stopped. And for a brief moment, I had respite from the images flashing through my mind. Then, like a powerful shove, it was them. Mantids standing motionless for hours. Mantids communicating without sound. Mantids shaping structures that grow instead of being built. Rows of them, thousands. So still, focused. It was all coming far too much information. A chamber filled with rotating geometric lights. A mantid adjusting something inside a living body without cutting it open. And in the next instance, understanding entered me like gravity. The imagery was clear. You evolve through chaos. We evolve through design. Again, a brief respite before the pounding power enraging in my mind. Images after image after image. Star systems mapped. Species catalogued. Worlds observed. Extinctions recorded. These were not explorers. They were archivists. The presence deepened inside my thoughts, and this time it did not show me, it spoke. We do not conquer, we measure. We watch for the moment a species becomes aware enough to survive itself. The meaning hit me all at once. They were not deciding whether we were intelligent, they were deciding whether we were stable. Eventually, my legs gave out. I collapsed, not from pain, from weight. Knowledge had pressed against my mind like pressure from deep water. A dull ache filled my skull, not pain, but overflow. And then I heard, "You must sleep now. You will not remember. You are safe." The next thing I remember was lying in bed, staring at my ceiling, looking up at a bright light. I could move, and I could feel. And I remembered. Stories like this appear again and again across decades of abduction reports. Different people, different countries, different lives, yet the same pattern repeats. Small beings, tall overseers, silent communication, and emotions suppressed. Skeptics say sleep paralysis, neurology, and stress responses. In many cases, they probably are. But one detail almost never changes. The tall ones are always described the same way. Not invaders, but observers. And that may be the most unsettling part, because predators can be fought. Observers cannot. If you've been following this series, you might have noticed something. The beings people report do not all look the same. Some describe the small greys, quick and precise. Others describe the Nordics, human-like and calm. And then there are encounters like this, with something older, quieter and more deliberate. Different forms, different roles and different behaviour. But what is strange is the pattern, because in many accounts they do not appear alone, they appear together. That raises a question most people never think to ask. What if these are not separate phenomena? What if they are part of the same system? Not a species, but a structure. Because on Earth, when you see different uniforms, different ranks and different jobs, it usually means one thing: organisation. Now that does not prove anything, and it does not confirm aliens, and it does not prove abductions, but it does leave us with something far more interesting than proof, a possibility. And if there was something out there observing, cataloguing, studying emerging civilizations, you would not expect chaos. You would expect order, hierarchy, roles. Which means the real question might not be, are they real? But instead, what stage are we at? And if humanity ever did reach whatever threshold something like that might be waiting for, would we even recognise the moment we passed it? Or would we only realise after we were no longer alone? If you like these kinds of deep dives, please remember to like, subscribe and ring that bell. It really helps DarkLight to grow. And if you've not seen the previous episodes, the Greys, the Nordics or the Reptilians, go check those out too, because they're all part of the Alien Species series. And so until next time, remember, question everything, stay safe and keep one eye open. Toodles.